Okay. So I want to welcome everybody to the July Years of Texas Speaker Series. We appreciate everybody attending today. I want to thank our sponsors. As you can see here on the screen, wouldn't be able to bring this to you without them and the support of them and the overall public. I want to introduce Devon Bennett today. She is a data acquisition lead at HERE Technologies based in Dallas, Texas. And so basically, the Here location platform that she'll be discussing today forms the basis for many systems and apps, from in-car navigation systems to package delivery, and etc. So she's going to be talking about, some of the background of this the Here data for emergency management routing. And Devin, really appreciate you being here today. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. And thank you again.
Of course. Thank you so much for the introduction. All right, so indeed, so updating maps for emergency management routing. So I am Devon from Here Technologies. Quick background about Here before we get into it. Over our 30-year history, we have been known by some other names um, besides Here Technologies. We have Navtech or Here Maps. We were for a while. So Navtech, I think, really rings a bell for a lot of people. Same company, but new name. As Brian said, we make maps for navigation systems, internet, phone apps. We work with some well-known users like Garmin, Esri, Amazon, but we also work with many other agencies like the Texas Department of Transportation, Georgia Department of Public Health, City of Portland, and the Santa Clara County Fire Department. And it's that angle, the Santa Clara County organization, that we're going to be using as a lens to discuss emergency management routing today. So I've divided this up into a couple parts. The first part is the emergency management section, looking at Santa Clara County, California. And then the second part is the Here APIs, how you can actually leverage the Here platform to build your own apps as well, whether that is emergency management oriented or not. Um, and so let's get started. So Santa Clara County, for anyone who's not familiar, is located near San Francisco, and it contains a very large portion of Silicon Valley. Important to this also is that there's a bunch of hills around that area. So I'm not from California. Maybe some of you are more familiar with the topography, but it's a very hilly area. Let's talk first about how Santa Clara County usually routes for emergencies. So they already use the Here data to route fire trucks, and the emergency will generate a lat long and the fire truck routes to it. And usually that's not a problem because the houses are close to the streets they are addressed to. So in this example, we have, for example, 284 is on East St. James Street. It's pretty easy to get there, or maybe 307, which is East St. John. Um, totally normal, easy to route to. But here's the issue. Remember I said it was mountainous. So areas in the mountains and the rural areas are much less straightforward. So we're looking at all these points. It's really hard to tell how to access these houses. So let's add an aerial image, see if that helps. Not really. It doesn't really help to see just from above where a different house might be accessed. So where's access to the house? So let's actually back up. Before I show how Santa Clara County worked with Here, let's talk about where this data comes from in the first place. So how does Here get data? One way is field data collection. This has been the case for our entire 30-year history, is still the case today. We drive, we map with 360 LiDAR cameras. We want to make sure that highways and roads are mapped correctly, that we get surface information where we can, stop signs. It's really an important way for us to make sure our map is correct. Aerial imagery is another way. So we look at satellite imagery and we can update our map accordingly when new things are added. User feedback is super important. So if you use the Here map, you can go into the bottom corner and say report other map problem and let us know what's going on. And we actually do look at that. We do make updates based on this. So it doesn't just go into a black hole, I guess, and no one ever sees it again. It's a really important part of keeping our map up to date. The data onboarding portal is another way. So you can actually upload full shape files. We really encourage GIS departments and 911 organizations to upload updated data. And map creator, finally. So we get data from individuals who are editing the map. And we'll go into these two items here in the presentation. And this is what Santa Clara County realized that they could work with us on. We really encouraged them to provide bulk data through the onboarding portal and maintain their data via map creator over time. So to go over the tools real quick, the data onboarding portal, we can register or sign in, which we really encourage because we like to make sure that we have authoritative data and not just something random, in the portal. But the data actually goes to me. I am in the central region of the country. I'm in Dallas. And so I personally receive the shapefiles from this area that are uploaded. So you can register and sign in, and then you can upload your data. And then map creator. So users can make one-off changes. This is not great for bulk uploads, whereas the data onboarding portal, users can upload full shape files. But for map creator, it's really more one road or address at a time. And this is another way that Santa Clara County worked with us. And we'll go into how these work in a moment too. So you can sign in and then start editing. I want to show a little bit how to edit existing data. So Santa Clara County could edit one-off roads, I guess, one at a time roads already. So this is an example here. This is actually in Denver. And I want to show the process of how you can edit a road that's already existing in the here map using Map Creator. So you'd start by selecting your road. And this brings up all of these attributions. So and there's even more that didn't fit in the screenshot, but we have things like the speed limit. So we could change that. So let's say that you live in this area, that they just changed the speed limits. It's no longer 25, it's 20. So you can click on the link and you can change that to 20. Or this is important down here, actually, the vehicular access, because I get a lot of questions from GIS departments and other people that maybe a road's closed off and it's become a pedestrian walkway. You can make those changes here. You can actually say no vehicular traffic allowed, or maybe only emergency vehicles. Maybe it's a bus lane now, and you can only have buses. So this is really nice to be able to update as maybe downtowns are revitalized and now you have a pedestrian walkway. So that's an example of how that would be used. You can also edit points of interest and address points in Map Creator. So here we have the same road with imagery, and we have this stack of POIs. So if we click on that, this brings up all of the different POIs in this area. So you could go in here and say, maybe the ATM is closed. You could delete that point altogether. They took it out. Or maybe the hours changed at the bar and grill. And maybe you work there and So you can go in and make those changes as well. All of this goes into the map as a whole, and it helps people. And it would help emergency management as well to know that the Fireside Bar and Grill still exists. All of that would be important. So let's return to this problem of access. Now that we know where this data that Santa Clara County was using even comes from in the first place. So let's look at this image. Where is this house accessed from? So here are the options. This is a little bit of an audience participation, easier in person, but is it A, Old Wood Road? Is it accessed from B, Vessing Road? Or is it accessed from C, Sobey Road? So if you feel like participating, you can put your guess in the chat window of which one you think would be the correct access to this house. And here's the aerial imagery, still not very helpful. This is the shapefile that was provided by Santa Clara County. And we can see that the answer was C. So they were keeping, Santa Clara County was keeping a record of the roads that were missing from the map because they were trying to integrate it with their own, with the data that they were using with the routing information from here. So they had a record of these. They were keeping this on their own, and they were able to upload that data that we were missing to complete the map. So since we were just discussing that raw data, I want to show what that looks like on a broader view. So we have the here base map and all of this blue data. This is all the data that was provided for this area by Santa Clara County from their own database. So we can kind of zoom in and take a look at what this looks like. And you can see that a lot of this was actually missing from the map. And while we here really tries to keep on top of things, there's always change. I mean, I'm sure that many of us are managing a GIS department or maybe a city GIS department. There's always changes. And so it's hard to keep on top of. That's why we really rely on people being willing to provide data or updates. Without this data that was provided, these houses up in here are quite literally lost in the hills. So going forward, Santa Clara County, they did the bulk upload and that got rid of most of the problem. But of course, as I was saying, things change over time. So let's show how to edit and add a link, add a road in the map creator platform. So in this example, we're going to click on William Manley Street in Lick, San Jose, California, which I think is funny. Click add new road. And then you just draw in the road that you need to add and double click to finish. When you double click, you'll get the attribution. So this looks really similar to what we were looking at before with editing a road. But see, now we don't have all of that attribution, which is what here had. This is all brand new road, so no attribution. So add in what you know. The speed, perhaps, the surface type, vehicular access, everything you can. And then that goes into the base map. And becomes part of the data for emergency management and other uses going forward as well. So I want to get into the part 2 of the here APIs. This is the data more from a developer angle rather than just from the perspective as a GIS organization or a 911 department. So here has APIs so that you can build your own applications and leverage here's existing map data. Keep in mind that the APIs and repository of base location data is actually built through the methods we were just discussing through the lens of Santa Clara County. It all becomes one ecosystem. And the Here Location platform continues to improve and push the industry into the future of location data. And just a quick note here, I am not a developer. My work at Here centers around the first part of the presentation. Like I was saying, I receive the shapefiles that are uploaded through the onboarding portal. However, we do have an excellent developer website, which I have on the screen here, developer.here.com, and that will be able to answer basic questions. And of course, if there are any more questions that you can't get answered on the website, please let me know or email me after the presentation or whatever. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find it for you. Okay, so the here location architecture, I've got the link in the QR code. So this actually does take you to the developer platform. But if you are into QR codes, you can go ahead and whip out your smartphone and look at it on your phone while I talk as well. So here has REST APIs and SDKs, as well as support if you run into any issues. It's easy to get started. We actually have a freemium platform. So 250,000 free API calls per month, which is actually more than either Google or Mapbox offer. We really want to make location data accessible to you and give you the freedom to create whatever you want to, either for your own personal project or as part of your organization. So you can use these different APIs in combination or as a standalone item. These are just a few of the core APIs available. You can really create anything that meets your needs. You can use the APIs to do very simple things like bringing in a base map, or you can do more advanced analysis like asset tracking, drive time analysis, emergency management, routing, which is what we'll discuss here in a minute. And we'll break down some of these uses in the next few slides as well. We also integrate with other third parties, so we fit into your workflow, whatever you're already doing. If you need a map as part of that or location data, things like AWS, Oracle, SAP, and Microsoft. So the here APIs have a modular, pardon me, a modular architecture. Basically, you can take the elements you need and put them together to tell the story that you want to tell. So I'll go through this from left to right. So the positioning API, just the GPS location and nothing else. Maybe you already have a map or you have data that you want to display just GPS information for. So you can ask the where am I question and you can have that via an API. The where am I question with a map, so you can get the here base map access as well as the positioning API. The places API, so where am I going? This person's going to the American Museum of something. This gives you the search function, which these don't give you over here to the left. And isoline routing. In this slide, we have which drivers are nearby, but let's think about this from an emergency management perspective. Which ambulance is nearby? You know, who can we route closest to this emergency? This could be especially interesting for things like building fire stations, maybe, or stationing ambulances. If you have, say, like railroad tracks and you want to position an ambulance in a certain location so that even if there's a train, the ambulance can get where they need to in case of an emergency. That would be super useful with the isoline routing API. Here's the modular architecture. All right, so let's break down this isoline routing, which I think is one of the most interesting parts of this. So in case you're unfamiliar, isoline routing is the area of reach from a given point based on factors like time, distance, or fuel consumption. So in this case, we have a rideshare app. But let's think about the position for a new fire station to serve the most citizens quickly in a new subdivision. And this ties in super well with the first part of the presentation about new subdivisions and changing roads. You can continually, because it's an API, you can continually look into the best location as your city grows to expand your emergency management coverage or your emergency coverage in general. Or this could tell you which route has fewest intersections and allows an ambulance through the quickest to get to an emergency. So here's an example of this in the slides. So this is in New York, and let's say that a fire happened at this blue dot. Isoline routing helps us determine which fire truck, the left or the right, should respond to this incident. And it may look like the one on the left is closer, but let's say there's a 10 minutes, is how long they have to get there. I'm making that up, of course. This is how far you can get in 10 minutes from this blue dot. And we can see that the fire truck on the right is the one that could get there quicker. And they actually could get there quicker even if they're up in Queensboro Plaza or down on Marcy Avenue. I have not been to New York, but you know, I think it would be very challenging to get across this bridge with traffic and everything else. And so this fire truck should not be the one to respond to this emergency. So that's my presentation about Santa Clara County Fire and also the HERE APIs. The Santa Clara County was able to provide better data by providing their shapefiles and updating through Map Creator going forward as well. These edits are providing benefit to everyone. So while we're looking at it through the lens of emergency management, keep in mind that they're also going to receive packages better. They're going to have their friends route to their houses easier, all of that. And there's many ways to get involved. So you can keep the HERE location data up to date in your area using the upload portal, or Map Creator, or you can leverage the data to build something new using the developer portal. It's important to remember that part 1 and part 2 of this presentation are really two sides of the same coin. Working with GIS departments, 911 organizations, and others helps keep the location platform robust and up to date, and allows for even more innovation. So all of these tools are free. This isn't not a sales pitch in any way. Please make use of it, and I think we have some time for some questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Devon. I appreciate that. So yeah, it was very informative and straight to the point. I definitely appreciate it. I know we're gonna have some questions. I know I have one, but Ollie, what do we have in our chat that we want to start this off?
Well, we've got a few in here, so I'll kind of go from the
Sure.
bottom up.
Oh, good.
Okay, they are coming in quickly. Okay, how does here differentiate from a competitor such as Esri? That's from remote.
So Esri is not actually a competitor. We work with Esri really closely. So if you look at the streets base map from Esri, that's actually here's data. Yeah, so we work together and share some ideas and stuff like that. So
Interesting. No, I did not know that. So
yeah.
Neither did I.
yeah.
That
All right,
explains a lot.
Ollie. What else?
Okay, so we've got. Do you know how Do you know how emergency management entities are being impacted by hacking such as Pegasus related to GIS specifically?
Ooh, that's interesting. I have no idea. I don't know what Pegasus is. I'm so sorry.
I recently learned about Pegasus myself. It's becoming a topic of this discussion right now. So I tell you what, why don't we learn more a little bit about that? Maybe we could follow up as an email later to the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do some research and we'll send that out when we try to get the PDHs out to you guys. How about that?
That sounds like a really good topic for a future speaker series
It
from somebody,
does.
not me.
Actually, that's a good idea. So,
Yeah.
well, Ollie, Liz Parrish has got a question for Devon.
What is generally the turnaround time for these edits to become incorporated, validated, and pushed out to various channels or partners?
That's a really good question. So it varies somewhat because we do validate, we don't want to just push everything through. I think it's usually a couple of weeks to a couple of months, depending on how backed up our integration team gets. So that's something that's quote unquote downstream from me. I do a lot more of the interfacing with the external individuals. So there is some variety in that.
And someone asked if you do quarterly updates.
We do, yeah. So there's different products, and that's really more of like a sales angle that I think different people, entities can buy different packages, like big corporations, not on the individual level. And I think they have quarterly updates. But in terms of like Map Creator and the Here We Go app, which I really didn't touch on in this, but there is a navigation app we have. I think it is updated quarterly.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. We've got another one. So regarding rural or less urban areas and emergency vehicle access, do you embed gate codes? And if so, how do you keep that data private?
So we don't include gate codes. However, I think that would be a really good use for one of the APIs, that you could create that for yourselves, actually using the base data and then creating your own app, where you could have codes and things like that, and then you would have it personal, in your systems. We actually try really hard not to have any personal data in this. That's a really good question, actually. So kind of the sidebar of that. When I'm reaching out for data updates from an organization or something, I specifically ask, please don't include owner information. I don't want owners. I don't want phone numbers. I really just want the site addresses so that we can route people to that location without any information about who lives there. So yeah, we really value data privacy.
Perfect.
Okay, very good.
All right, so we've got, if we as GIS staff are inputting individual streets with Map Creator, then how do we become a trusted source with here.com?
I can help with that. So we actually have different tiers, different levels of trustedness, I guess. I forget how that works kind of naturally, but I think the more you edit, the higher it gets. Don't quote me on that. I can make sure that people who are at GIS organizations, they're at a higher level of trustedness. So please just send me an email and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
And do you want to type your email address
Oh
into
yeah,
the
let
chat
me
just for
actually
everybody?
go back to the beginning where I have my email.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. If you all have any specific questions for Devon, we can always follow up offline, but to make sure your questions get answered. We are recording this. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel here once we kind of clean it up, and then it'll be posted on our website. So if anybody that kind of missed the call, they can go back to it. But I see we have a question from Tina Hansen. If y'all don't know, Tina was involved early on with your ISA Texas, and one of the few people in the very, very, very beginning of getting this organization off the ground. So I guess Tina is attempting to save my changes in Map Creator. It would not save my edits. Is there a support use issues?
That's unfortunate that wasn't working. I would be interested to know like how recent that was, if maybe they were doing updates to the map creator, which would be unfortunate. Let me look into that. I don't do quite as much with map creator as I used to. So yeah, you could email me, or I don't know what the support email might be offhand. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a browser issue, but that's always the first thing I
Sometimes
look
that
at.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So check your Microsoft Edge and versus Chrome, and I know HTTPS and the security issues things are changing. So, well, Ollie,
We've
let's
got
see
a
here.
couple more questions.
Yeah.
So Jordan actually asks, does HERE plan on consuming REST services from local governments?
We have a little bit in the past. I don't think we're going to on like an ongoing basis immediately, but I know that's been discussed in the future as well. Some of it depends on which areas my planning team wants to update right away. And again, like bandwidth with the integration team. We don't do a ton of REST integrations.
And then I have a question.
Yeah.
So myself being in local government, we often get phone calls, especially from our newer subdivisions, saying, "Oh, deliveries can't find me. My friends can't find me. People can't find me." So, and they're all using Google Maps, and we do send our Google up to data. Sorry, our data up to Google. So there's one of those stupid things I said. We do, but Google is huge and they're not always going to be updating. HERE obviously updates their data much more frequently. I've always noticed that the Esri base maps that we're consuming are much more up to date. And now that I know that's HERE data, I'm like, this makes a lot of sense.
Yay.
Do you know if HERE is planning on creating something like a Google Map app that people can use instead? Because everyone's heard the horror stories of people almost driving to a lake or on somebody's private property or something because Google just is not updating their stuff.
Yeah. So we actually do have a navigation app. I should put it in the chat. It's called Here We Go. I don't know how to use the chat thing. I guess everyone can see this. So not that it matters. Okay. So it's called Here We Go. So yeah, so it's called Here We Go. It's free to download. I really didn't put it into this because it didn't totally fit with my theme. But the updates and the data and all that also goes into the Here We Go app. They do update it. So I know that's been a question as well. But yeah, so I would recommend that. And actually, if you're still having people almost driving into lakes, this is a really good way to go into Map Creator and change the either the surface type or the access, where I was showing if it's pedestrian or one ways or whatever. You can change that as well. So that may help if you're still having the issue. And also you can ask me because I'm a friendly person. So
You are a very friendly person.
I really want to help. I want it to be right. So
all right, we've got one more question that just popped up. Can a municipality request a drive-by, or is that up to HERE's discretion?
The driving thing, I don't do anything with that. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. I don't but the drive is a different department. So you can request, I will try, I will ask them, but that I don't know how they decide what gets driven and how often. The best way to make sure that you have the updates, especially if you've done like readdressing or you've grown a whole lot, just send a shapefile to the upload site and we'll get it handled that way too.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, Devon, I have a question for you.
Sure.
And hopefully it's not something you've already answered, but you mentioned asset management a little earlier on, and you collecting with what the LiDAR 360 camera. So I guess the question is, are y'all using incorporating AI and being able to classify some of these assets? And do you have any examples like fire hydrants? I'm just using an example off the top of my head. Park benches. Hopefully that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do things like lane counts, which we can look at from an automated standpoint. So we try and get road markings and like turn restrictions, a lot of signage like stop signs, and we try and get speed limit signs. Last I heard about that, they were still kind of working out some of the kinks on things like signage, because it just depends on the angle that the picture was taken. Sometimes it's a little wonky. I don't think they're doing as much with park benches and stuff like that. But
it was an example. The laneage is good. So I mean, I guess with the follow up is you're using the LiDAR 360 camera. So I assume you guys are classifying to the ASPRS classification system. And have you seen anything where it could pick up like cracks in the road? I'm just curious because it's always pushing the boundaries with AI and LiDAR and so yeah, it's real interesting.
I am not actually totally sure that the extent to which that's used. I think it's used mostly to double check our work, but I don't think they're doing a whole lot with like cracks in pavement. That's last I heard. That was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I was just curious. So keep me posted. It's always pushing the asset management to the boundaries. So yeah, I appreciate it. So what else do we have here?
We've got more questions coming in. All right. From Courtney, we've got, how is that asset management information shared with the GIS community?
So that would be the API. So I think that's something that you can utilize to create your own apps and such from. It's one of the many APIs that are available for developer use. I don't think it's posted someplace other than the developer portal. It's not posted on like Esri's site or anything like that. Okay. I hope that answers the question.
And from Suzette, we've got, is there an option to upload an entire subdivision of streets in lieu of drawing each street individually?
Yes, that is a perfect use case for the upload portal. Just drop your shapefile in there. I'll take care of it. As a follow-up, I guess, the map creator is really good if you have one-off updates. So like in the Santa Clara example, if they're adding like 2 streets and they don't want to upload an entire new shapefile, then they can just add the 2, but if you're doing subdivisions, like save yourself the headache, don't draw them all in. Send a shapefile.
Perfect. All right. I think, we've got more. Okay. Can you upload any other format than shapefiles?
That's easiest for us. You can upload it. Other parts of the company use the upload portal for other stuff. It's easiest for us to ingest shapefile format if you're doing like subdivisions or something.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jordan. Jordan posted a link to the here.com dashboard. So if anybody needs to have that one. So, wow, we had a lot of questions here today. If you all think of something, other questions you'd like to ask Devon, we'll make sure they get over there to you.
Great.
But again, we're going to have this up on our YouTube channel after we kind of clean it up and get it posted. I think I saw, Ollie, we had 74, I think at max, give or take.
Yeah, I saw like mid 70s.
So. Yeah, so it's a really good turnout. And anyway, we really appreciate everybody attending the Years of Texas July speaker series. It's always nice to get a pretty good attendance, especially in the summertime when everybody's on vacation. But glad everybody is doing well. And Devin, we appreciate it. I'm going to probably just go ahead, unless there's any more questions. We're just going to give y'all some time back to your day, and we'll get back at it. So I hope y'all go get some lunch, and we really appreciate it. But Devin, thanks a bunch, and
Thank you,
thanks
everyone.
to my co-host Ollie Powers, and I'm Brian King. So we will see you all next month, and appreciate it.
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Okay. Take care.